Thank you for joining us here on The Big Four from Monolith Sports, where we ask 4 big questions and get 4 big answers. I'm Andrew MacDonagh, and today's special guest is former host of Sportsnet Connected and current host of Jim Lang in the Morning on 105.9 The Region. This is, of course, Jim Lang. Thank you for being here today.
That's a pleasure, Andrew. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Now, you're very familiar with Toronto and the Toronto sports scene, so let's talk playoffs for a second.
Okay.
The Caps lead the Leafs 3-2 in their best-of-7 series. How do you see this playing out, and who do you think are the key players in this series?
Well, the playing out, it's going to be another one-goal game. I don't see anything different. I know some people in Washington and some people around the NHL a little surprised to see such a high seed like Washington be pushed to the limit. But if you look deeper at the Leafs and what Mike Babcock has built under Lou Lamoriello and Brendan Shanahan, this is what they envisioned when Babcock took over. Young, fast legs, high tempo, move the puck up and attack. And that's the one thing you see with these young guys like Matthews, Nylander, even Connor Brown and Mitch Marner and all of them. Once they gain the neutral zone, they're not just going to dump the puck, and they're going to make a play.
Yes, they're going to make something happen.
Right, and I really think that's taken the Capitals on their heels a bit. I don't think they expected that kind of all-out assault all the time. So for Game 6, Sunday night, I expect another one-goal game. Ultimately, fair enough, Freddie Anderson's going to have to be as good as he was in Game 5 or better, and the Blue Line's going to have to try to avoid any mistakes. They're going to have to play as close to a perfect game as possible for at least to have a chance to win. But I expect another one-goal game. It wouldn't surprise me if it's an overtime.
Do you expect to see us talking about a Game 7?
The Leaf fan in me says yes, but Washington is a better team. The Leafs can be there in a year or two, but Washington is a better team. So all things being equal, this is where emotion in the home crowd could be a tipping point. Last change is going to be a big thing for Mike Babcock and the Leafs because they're going to have to get some certain favorable matchups, not just against Ovechkin, but against a guy like TJ Oshie.
Yes.
Hurt them in the series a lot. So now Mike Babcock and his coaching staff have to worry about how they match up against Ovi and Oshie in order to have the best chances. I'm going to go with my heart and say they're going to force a Game 7, but it's going to be probably another one-goal overtime game.
Now, talking about Ovechkin, we're going to go back to Game 5 for a second here and discuss Ovechkin and Kadri, which has been on the tip of a lot of people's tongues today. Was the hit clean?
Well, it was. I think it's clean. No, that's dirty, rough, tough playoff hockey. Now, I'm of an age where I grew up watching defensemen take guys out like that for years.
Absolutely.
And this has been that hip check has been a staple of hockey for decades.
Certainly.
But one thing that's happened in the last 5 to 10 years is hitting as we used to know it is dissipated quite a bit in the National Hockey League. Rarely do you see that Wendell Clark open ice hit anymore. Rarely do you see the big hit. So when there's a big hit, A, it makes a highlight, and B, often it starts a scrum or a borderline fight.
Now, why is that the case? That was one thing that has come up often as well. Is it seems to me in this generation of hockey, and I agree with you completely, that why does there have to be a penalty or a fight after a big hit? Why can't the big hit be accepted as an honest piece of the game and a talented part of the game? Why does it have to always either start something or have a result?
I wish I knew. Honestly, I wish I had an answer to that. To me, that is part of hockey. You give a hit, you take a hit. Look at Ovechkin. It's got a history. You can go on YouTube and search Ovechkin hits, and there is hours of him leveling guys. I mean, there is one on him on PK Subban where he goes down low on a hip check and flips Subban up and over his head.
Oh, wow.
And then last night, after he gets back from his going to the locker room to get checked out, he hammers Jake Gardner into the glass.
Oh, yes.
So Ovechkin's no saint when it comes to hitting. He hits as hard as anybody, and that's what Nazem Kadri's being paid to do, is to create offense, but also to hit guys and stir things up and try to get the opposition off their game. If they're so focused on getting after Kadri that they're taking penalties, then that works in Babcock in the Leafs' favor, because then their power play eventually has got to get their act together. But It's a rough hit. It was a tough hit, but it's been going on for decades in the National Hockey League.
Oh, yeah.
And it certainly wasn't suspendable, and it wasn't. I mean, I think they just gave him a penalty because they didn't know what to do.
It seems like as long as you are lying on the ice as the victim of one of these hits, there seems to be everyone is compelled to have the result, which is interesting to me because, again, we've almost lost, I hate to say it, the honor of getting up after a hit. There was something to be said about skating to the bench, not lying there for 5 minutes. Now, I'm not saying this is exclusive to Ovechkin. I'm just saying that it's sort of the whole attitude of being hit hugely in a game has changed. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm still a believer a big hit can create something. We've seen times in the series where the fourth line created something. I think there was the Cap in an overtime goal. Matt Martin makes a hit. Mm-hmm. And he's forcing the puck down low, and then Boyle with a backhand pass to Kapanen for the winner. But it was started in the hit, pushing the defenseman hard into the corner and creating something. I mean, so the hits are a part of hockey. You can either gain possession of the puck in your end to get out, or gain possession of the puck in the offensive end to make a play. So I think too much was made of it. I don't know if it's Twitter or if it's our society we are in now, but there's too much overreaction to things that happen in the game. And that hit, it blew up. I mean, it went viral on social media, pro and con. I just think it was a good, rough and tough playoff hockey.
I agree with you. To me, that was a 1987 Norris Division Minnesota North Star kind of hit. That's what that was, and nothing more, and really nothing less. To switch gears
he came back and he played quite a few minutes afterwards. So I mean, he seemed to be fine the rest of the game that I saw him.
I saw the exact same thing. I mean, to me, I saw the same player in the third that I saw in the first throwing his weight around. So who are we to judge?
Yeah.
Now, talking about the rest of the playoffs, we've seen Chicago. They have been swept already. We're looking at San Jose. They could be finished tonight. Are windows closing around the NHL?
Well, yes, they are closing. And one of the reasons is it's because of financial reasons and the cap. And part of the problem for Chicago is, Kane and Taves make so much money.
Yes.
And eat up so much of their cap. And then you go to the next tier, which is Seabrook, Keith, and, that tier of players, and they take up a chunk of money. So then the rest of the guys filling out the roster simply can't be paid any kind of money because they don't have anything left on the cap. And this is going back to the Leafs, you have all these great young players on their entry-level deal that gives Shanahan and Lamoriello incredible flexibility going into the off-season, or either like with a trade before the draft, at the draft, and a free agency that other teams simply don't have. And there's going to be teams around the NHL, and Chicago might be one of them, or other teams that have been knocked out that look at their salary cap and have to make tough decisions and have to part with what you would think is a key player because simply they can't afford them. And they're going to have to lose them because they need to clear cap space to get other pieces. Because they look and say, look, I don't want to get rid of player A, but I need player B, C, and D if we're going to have a shot to not get swept in the first round next year. Mm-hmm. And that's where money and cap space is an asset. And, yeah, I mean, age is definitely a factor in San Jose, but money was a big factor for Chicago because Stan Bowman was quite limited what he could do because of financial constraints. And they've had a great run under Joel Quenneville and, the Taves and Kane and Keith and Seabrook and Crawford, that whole core. But with the cap, and as they sign new contracts that eat up more of the space, then that causes problems where they have to say goodbye to other players they would have, in a previous life, would have been with the team for 8 years. The days of the Islanders and the Oilers and the Red Wings where you kept that team together for years and had these mini dynasties, you can't do it.
No, that's finished. That is done.
I mean, even the Leafs, you're going to have Matthews, Nylander, and Marner all coming off entry-level deals pretty much at the same time. And Matthews probably, the way he's going after the year he's had, he's going to be in the vicinity of $8 million a year for his second contract.
Absolutely.
And he would more than deserve it. So that's where great young players like Edmonton has them, and McDavid and Draisaitl and stuff like that, before they hit the home run contract, is so important to make something happen. Because once you have to start paying guys, then management is in a real predicament do now, and that's where the capologist and managing your cap and managing your money and it is so crucial to success because the teams. It's not that they're not good organizations with good people, but when they get into financial trouble, there's not a thing they can do about it. If they're hard to the cap, they have to make decisions not because of personnel, but because of straight dollars and cents. And that's what we're going to see heading into the draft and the free agency. The teams simply have no choice but to do that.
Jim, enjoy the rest of the playoffs.
Oh, okay, that's it? Oh, all right.
That's it. That's 4 big questions. That's from Monolith Sports. Thank you again for joining us and for your insights, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Glad to do it. Hope we can do it again.
That's Jim Lang, and if you like this, you'll love him on 105.9 The Region, where he gives you your first look at the day on Jim Lang in the Morning. I'm Andrew MacDonagh right now. This has been The Big Four. Thanks again.